begin with the land acknowledgement statement. We began this meeting this morning by acknowledging that the Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many nations, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Service Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. I'll now begin with roll call, starting with Member Gibson. Member Gibson, can you unmute?
Present.
Okay, thank you. Member Yip?
Present.
Member Capasavanu?
Present.
Member Lawson?
Present.
Member McKendrick?
Present.
And we have regrets from Member Steele. Do any members have declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest?
No.
Thank you. I'm seeing none. We go to the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Member Yip, second by Member Lawson, that the minutes of the public board meeting held Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 be adopted and circulated. Any discussion? Member Yip?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I wasn't able to attend the meeting January 23rd, but I did have a question about item 7.1, use of body-worn cameras by law enforcement agencies. So through you to the chief, slide 18 in the presentation indicated that there would be 2 to 3 months of community consultation using an online survey and a dedicated email address. My question is, what efforts will be made to ensure that the communities that are most marginalized or that have a historically difficult relationship with police are appropriately consulted?
Chief?
Thank you for the question, and through you, Chair. Given the fact that Member Yip had asked several questions in the fall of 2024 in our budget discussions and was not able to attend the meeting in January, I anticipated there would be questions, so I invited Dr. Perez to come to this meeting in anticipation of that. So with your permission, I would like to invite Dr. Perez to the microphone to address this question and any follow-up questions that Member Yip might have with respect to the use of body-worn cameras. We have had several meetings, so I know he's fully engaged in it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you, Chair.
Yep, welcome.
Thank you, Chief, and through the Chair. That's an excellent question. We have, for the purpose of maximizing our reach in the community and taking into account the comments from from the members of this Police Service Board during the last conversation we had, we have right now in-person sessions. We're going to have open houses in different communities. We're going to have open houses in Fort Erie, Grimsby, Port Colborne, Welland, Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, and we're going to have 2 sessions in each district, one in the morning and one in the evening, so we can maximize the participation of members. On top of that, we just had this Monday a session with the Chief of Police Inclusion Council, where we came and invite them to participate in the next steps. We're going to have, with them, we're going to have a World Cafe style session. It's a very basic session where we ask questions about what makes you feel optimistic, what makes you feel pessimistic, and things that might be a concern for certain groups in the community. So we're going to have that on March 24 this year. And also, we're going to have a community engagement using an online tool. We're going to have consultation with our members, but also with the community. And one of the things, because Chief has been very intentional in terms of maximizing our reach, the tool is available in more than 150 languages. So if people from different groups in the community decide to participate in any other language than English or any language of their preference, they can do so. by changing the language in the survey. So those basic questions that we're going to ask our communities in terms of what they think about, what are their thoughts? That's actually the question. What are their thoughts about the body-worn camera program? And we're going to ask this similar questions to our members. We want to learn also from our own personnel what they think about this program. So we're covering community members, we're covering our own staff, we're covering through the Chief of Police Inclusion Council, we're covering different leaders within our community, different groups, and we're also having the open houses sessions at different districts 2 times per day. So, so by doing that, we think we can maximize our reach.
Thank you for that. Through you, Chair, I guess just to follow up on that, and I'm going to ask this as a question, but it may be that you don't have an answer at the moment, and so it's something to just go away and consider. My concern is particularly with the communities that have a historically difficult relationship with police, they may choose not to engage, and then we don't get their feedback. So I guess so the question, but again, there might not be an answer at the moment, how do we reach out to those communities that might be hesitant to engage in the first place?
I can speak to that. Our team has been having regular meetings every week since we present the proposal here to this Police Service Board. One of the strategies that we envision is being there. So being at different community places or places that are frequently visited by members within our community. So we're thinking, of course, this is pending confirmation and availability of the spaces because some of them might be public spaces. One of the strategies that we envision is being present, being there, and asking those participation to be directly. And also, I didn't mention that, but the tool allows people to participate remotely if they want to do so, because some people might be shy to give their opinion when they have in front of them the person or the subject who's collecting the data, right? Some people might be shy to do so, so they can do that afterwards at home, accessing the online tool, or they can do that at the open houses. And we're trying to maximize our richness by being present, being in those places in the community. Of course, we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to for those places to be available for us. So that's one of the strategies that we envision, of course, on top of having the tool available in more than 150 languages. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Just one final question. Excuse me. The online or remote participation, then, will that be people being able to participate confidentially, so they won't have to identify who they are or what particular aspect of the community they belong to?
Thank you for that question, and through the chair. One of the things that we care about is participants' safety. So by that being said, we're trying to encourage participation in an environment that fosters safety for those participants. So we're not asking any information that could potentially lead to the identification of a person. So yeah, the survey is anonymous. They can, if they want to, they can provide specific demographic information, where they live, where they work, so for classification purposes, but it's very clearly stated. If you want to, you can skip that question. It's a voluntary-based data collection, so if they don't want to answer certain questions, they can just skip them. And also, we have in place some mechanisms to promote the safety of our participants. What I mean by that, abusive language will not be tolerated, so we have mechanisms in this tool that will flag or let us know as soon as we receive a comment using some disrespectful or abusive language, so we can prevent that being released to the public or someone who might get offended by certain language. So we're doing that. Of course, that's noted in the privacy statement, that's noted in the instructions, but that we're doing that with the objective of produce a space where everybody can participate, and they can also do it so in an open and transparent way. Another thing that I want to mention is that this tool allows two-way communication, so participants can see other comments or thoughts from the people that has previously participated without seeing their names. So like also we're taking care of not disclosing who is making specific comment, but it's a two-way communication tool between participants because I think it's very important transparency. So people can see what are the concerns or things that make optimistic certain groups within the community, so they can see that right away.
Thank you, and I apologize, Chair, because Dr. Perez's very detailed answer made me want to ask another question. When you were talking about that the tool will flag any abusive or offensive language and that sort of thing, I guess two pieces to that. First, will people still be able to criticize police and policing through that, and it won't be flagged as abusive or offensive? And two, does that mean that we can have at least some level of certainty that, because something like this is absolutely going to draw racist, homophobic, transphobic comments and language, can we have a certain level of assurance that that's what you're talking about, that won't make it out to the public?
Thank you for that question and through the chair. The short answer is yes. We'll put those safeguards to prevent abusive, homophobic, disrespectful language, particular words and expressions. That's embedded in the tool. But we also want to maximize transparency so other participants can see if they have, say that they don't agree or they disagree with certain questions, other participants will be able to see that. Only if they're not using disrespectful language, right? Or language that could be inappropriate for other, because we try to foster a safe environment for everybody. So if, and that's on the privacy statement, if you're using a language that could be disrespectful to certain groups in the community or to certain people, your comment will be flagged for revision. That being said, is like we're trying to prevent the use of homophobic, transphobic, or words that could lead to somebody being offended by certain words. But we're not preventing any free or open speech or any open expressions within the community, so they can say whatever they want within the framework of respect and tolerance that we should conduct each other.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Great, thank you for that information. Thank you, Member Yip, for those questions. That's very informative. I see no other discussion. I can't see I don't know if Kevin or Narai had anything, but all right. So I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Kevin is in favor.
Thank you. That carries. Now I'll go to the chair's, the board chair's report. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome Dave Tilley to the meeting. Dave is with the Inspectorate of Policing at the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and he serves as a policing service advisor to Zone 4 police boards in Ontario. He regularly attends our meetings as part of the routine visits by policing services advisors to police boards across the province. The board is pleased to see his continued attendance at our monthly meetings. So welcome, Dave. Thank you for coming. On January 23rd, the service held a recruit graduation ceremony in the community room at the police headquarters. The ceremony recognized 4 new recruits and 2 currently serving police officers to Niagara Regional Police Service, as well as 1 Niagara Parks Police Special Constable to the Niagara Parks Police Service. Vice Chair Capsavanu, Member Lawson, and I attended the event where we had the opportunity to congratulate the officers and meet with members of their family. On January 24th, the Niagara Regional Police Association hosted a recognition levy to celebrate the retirement of Niagara Regional Police Association President Pat McGilly, who officially retired on February 1st. Members Lawson, Gibson, McKendrick, Steele, and I attended the event where we had the opportunity to thank Pat for his years of dedication to the members of Niagara Regional Police Service. The Canadian Association of Police Governance hosts monthly webinars as part of their educational strategy to keep police boards and police executive across Canada apprised of issues currently affecting the policing community. A webinar was held on January 29th, and upcoming webinars are scheduled for February 27th, March 4th, and March 13th. Such session topics include staffing levels and response times, body-worn cameras, hiring chiefs of police, and supporting the unhoused. All three webinars start at 12 noon, and recorded copies are sent to the board members for their viewing. On February 3rd, Member McKendrick attended the Niagara Region's Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee as our board representative. These meetings bring together representatives from policing, paramedics, education, healthcare, social services, and community-based agencies for a coordinated approach to enhance the well-being of residents' communities that are vulnerable due to social, economic, or health-related risk factors. Thank you for attending, Member McKendrick. On February 19th, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards held their Zone 4 quarterly meeting at Niagara Regional Headquarters. Zone 4 consists of a total of 14 police service boards, including municipal and OPP contract boards or First Nations police governance bodies that are located within the regions or counties of Brant, Haldimand, Halton, Hamilton, Niagara, Norfolk, and Oxford. These quarterly engagements allow boards within a certain geographic area to meet for the purpose of discussing matters related to police governance. Members Lawson, Executive Director Reed, and I attended the meeting on behalf of the board. The Police Association of Ontario held its annual employment conference on February 25th and 26th in Toronto. Discussions focused on a variety of topics, including Community Safety and Police Act, collective bargaining developments, best practices and challenges, the implications of Ontario's new statutory framework and police disciplinary and human rights decisions. Member Lawson, Executive Director Reed, Board Solicitor McKegg, and I, as well as service staff, attended the conference. On March 25th, Jillian's Place will host a breakfast event aimed at ending gender-based violence. The breakfast is being held in St. Catharines at Club Roma in the Starlight Room, and registration will begin at 7:30 a.m. with the event beginning at 8 a.m. Board members are interested in attending are asked to confirm with board staff by March 10th. I am pleased to announce that today we do have a special recognition, the King Charles III Coronation Medal. I am pleased to announce that Chief Bill Forty has been selected to receive the King Charles III Coronation Medal in recognition of his outstanding contribution to public safety and crime prevention and community leadership. Director Akram Askell has also been selected to receive this distinguished honor for his work in information technology. The King Charles Medal is awarded to those who have made a significant contribution to Canada or to a particular province, territory, region, or community of Canada, or have made an outstanding achievement abroad that brings credit to Canada. A presentation ceremony will take place in Ottawa on March 26th. The board offers our congratulations to both Chief Forty and Director Askell. This honor is a testament to the respect and admiration that both have earned, so congratulations. There are no committee meetings scheduled for March. The next scheduled regular monthly board meeting is Thursday, March 27th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. in the community room here at Police Headquarters. I'll now go to the Police reports, the Chief of Police, if you have any. And again, congratulations.
Thank you, Chair. I do have some comments, so thank you. On Monday, January 27th and Tuesday, February 25th, respectively, we attended the City of Thorold for 2 meetings to meet with their council and senior staff, specifically the town and gown, and we did a presentation to their council, Inspector Sarah Rose, Mara Lagrateria, Stephanie Sabrin, and myself attended to present to council on matters related to the overall policing in the Niagara region and specific crime trends and rates in Thorold. It was a very productive meeting, and I want to acknowledge the city and the elected officials there for their support of our service. On Wednesday, January 29th, we attended a roundtable discussion in Toronto with police chiefs from across the country and Commissioner of the RCMP to discuss matters related to police response to persons in crisis and mental health calls for service. The meetings were also attended by academics, whereby we discussed our shared interest in finding a better way for police officers across the country to respond to these calls for service. And I'm pleased to share that the thinking across the country is consistent with the thinking that our service shares in terms of trying to find a means to have professionals that are trained in dealing with mental health issues be a first responder. So it was a very productive meeting, and I anticipate further enhancements across the country moving forward. On Tuesday, February 18th, senior leaders and members of our core unit met with Mayor Campion from Welland. We discussed current issues in Welland, inclusive of the new shelter that's recently been introduced in Welland, and our response with unhomed persons and how we can be a positive part of the solution in trying to advance, work through their pressures. As you referenced, on February 19th, we hosted the OACP Zone 4 meeting here in this room. Deputy Chief Waslovich led the meeting. It included many of our police partners from across the zone and police board members, as you referenced. On Thursday, January 23rd, we celebrated our recruit grad with 4 new recruits and 2 currently serving police officers joining our organization. On January 27th, our EDI unit and core members attended Brock University for the 80 Years Later Living Archives. It was an international Holocaust Remembrance Day event that we participated in to show our respect. On January 31st, we attended the former Niagara Arts Multicultural Center to support them in the rebranding of their organization, which is now known as Bridges Niagara. On February 4th, we attended Mayor Cisco's pancake breakfast in St. Catharines, raising funds to support homeless prevention programs at community care of St. Catharines and Thorold. We attended that pancake breakfast in the morning. On February 5th and 6th, as part of our continued efforts in building trust, our EDI unit attended both Niagara-on-the-Lake and Welland Niagara College campuses to meet and chat with international students that are coming from outside of our country. They dealt with many questions about policing in Niagara, as well as trying to speak with them about matters related to hate crime, tenant rights, and responsibilities in Niagara. On February 6th, our EDI unit members met with Niagara Health System EDI staff as well to discuss possibilities for cross-training, collaboration, sharing information, and best practices. On February 11th, which was a Tuesday, our members played in an indoor soccer match against the youth from Bridges Niagara, formerly known as Niagara Folk Arts Center, at the Welland Sportsplex. I can report that we lost the game. We came second, and we're looking forward to a rematch with the kids. On Wednesday, February 12th, members attended an event celebrating Black Heritage and Youth Excellence, hosted by Welland Heritage and Multicultural Center. On February 18th, Janet Madoom, the Executive Director of the Welland Heritage and Multicultural Center, came and presented to our staff as part of Black History Month for the purpose of a learning event. It was hosted in this room with Janet speaking on several topics, including her journey as a Black female in a leadership role in Niagara and the overall importance of EDI in all aspects of personal and professional lives for everybody. On Saturday, February 22nd, members of the service, including our core unit, attended the coldest night of the year, community walk in St. Catharines. This fundraising walk is held in over 100 communities across the country to raise awareness and spread compassion for those dealing with homelessness and food insecurity. Start Me Up Niagara was chosen as the charity benefiting from the fundraiser this year. On Tuesday, February 25th, members of our EDI unit attended the faculty at Niagara College and discussed the role and function of the unit in assisting the community more broadly at all academic institutions. We are also restarting or re-engaging our ride-along programs with students from both Niagara College and Brock University after a period of the last 3 or 4 years where we have not done so. This will give students in law enforcement programs an opportunity to experience what it's like to be a police officer, to work through some of the misconceptions or myths about being a police officer. This will give them exposure to a wide variety of settings, including first response, forensics, communications, and our courts. Needless to say, this is also an opportunity for us to speak with people about future becoming police officers down the road as their chosen profession. We want to also recognize recently retired, I guess called President McGilly of the Niagara Regional Police Association, and thank him for his years of service. I did have an opportunity to speak with Pat earlier this week, and he's enjoyed his time off to date. He still feels like he's on vacation. He doesn't feel like he's retired yet, and I reminded him that he is on vacation, so he's doing very well. On February 18th, in anticipation of Mental Health Awareness Month in May, members of the units have begun meeting with our member support unit to begin talks about how best to collaborate with them to get our members more involved. On Tuesday, February 25th, in recognition of upcoming International Women's Day, which is on March 8th, I'm really proud and pleased to tell you that we had an event in here. It was led by our Women in Policing Internal Support Network. It was a 2-hour session whereby we invited in OPP Detective Constable Laura Empey, where she spoke about her 29-year career, where she has been principally focused in organized crime and outlaw motorcycle gangs. It was very informative. And then we had a panel discussion where we had Superintendent Staniforth, Inspector Rose, Detective Constable Gordon, and Chantel from our criminal analysis unit, whereby the 4 of them did a really professional, excellent job of describing kind of the pressures that they've worked through during their career and how it really showcased how policing is a great profession for women to explore. So I was very proud of them, pleased to report that, and very proud of how that discussion went. Keep going up script, so I'm having to look back. I think I referenced last week, or last meeting that I was at, that we had initiated an 8-week fitness challenge. We are in the throes of working through that as well. It started on February 10th. And I guess the last thing I'll reference is that, I guess under the headline or caption of member wellness, we have introduced our hybrid work program, and it's being introduced slowly into the organization with IT and HR leading the initiative, and it's gone very well so far. So I'll end my comments there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chief. Again, I'm always amazed at how your group, staff are involved with the community. It does mean a lot to the community. And also visiting the councils, municipality councils is, I've heard nothing but positive reports from the people that I know. So just keep up the good work that you're all doing. I'll go to I'll go to members, see if there's any questions for the chief. Okay. We do have a presentation this morning. I'll go to the chief to introduce the The presenters, it's on Community Safety and Police, the Policing Act.
Thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to invite Staff Sergeant Mike Casala and Sergeant Jesse Hicks from our training unit to come to the podium.
Right, welcome.
Morning, Chair, members of the Police Services Board, in person and virtual. Thank you for the time this morning to discuss some of the impacts on the training unit as a result of the Community Safety and Policing Act. Thank you and good morning to all the members of the executive and leadership team here as well. So I'll get right into it. Community Safety and Policing Act has had significant change and impact on the training unit. We'll dive a little bit more into that, but I'll first set the stage of historically what our responsibilities and composition has been. So the Niagara Regional Police Training Unit is part of the Executive Services umbrella within the organization. The training unit is currently composed of 1 staff sergeant, 2 sergeants, and 16 constables. That was recently expanded with the addition of 5 constables and a sergeant in January of 2025. We have 3 classrooms, a firing range, a defensive tactics room, and a close quarter battle room, or CQB for short, and we'll expand on that in a little bit to put some perspective as to what that was. And traditionally our assignments composed of in-service training, pre and post OPC training, auxiliary constable training, bicycle training, and patrol, carbine, and shotgun training.
So what has changed? I could tell you a lot has changed. The CSPA has now prescribed wide-reaching training requirements. Although historically we have received some of this training, it is now mandatory for a wide variety of units and members. Some of the new training that we will be receiving that will be mandatory for the majority of our frontline officers will be the patrol carbine training, the C8s, immediate rapid deployment, which is our active attacker training, incident command and incident management training, special constable training, mental health crisis response training, and other training for our specialized units.
So ensuring success, the training unit expansion that I mentioned in the first slide. In September of 2024, we expanded by 5 constables and a sergeant on a temporary basis. And this was budgeted for in 2025 in full-time positions. What that means is, in addition to our new instructors attending, we also have to update them with their training to properly facilitate all the training that was mentioned by Staff Sergeant Casella. So what that looked like was our members attending use of force instructor training. That's a 3-week course, which can be facilitated anywhere in the province at the police college or hosted by other services. And part of that as well is a facilitating and assessing police learning course, or FAPL. And that assists instructors who may not have experience in adult education or instruction, learn general rules and practices to ensure that this information is absorbed and understood. This has led to added training costs and time away from instruction. So although we have received these additional members to the unit, again, they're sometimes leaving for 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time to receive the training to help them instruct. And part of this is cost related to hotels and travel and things like that. With the Ontario Police College expanding to a 4th intake, that has stressed their resources. So where we would traditionally be hosted for accommodations at the Ontario Police College, we are now forced to pay for hotels where we're attending. Additionally, there's been purchase and acquisition of computers and workstations. And we've expanded our footprint across the service. So we've developed some creative solutions to make sure that we can host and facilitate all this mandated training. What that has looked like is traditionally our recruits that are at the training unit for 5 weeks. We've now changed that to 2 weeks in person at the training unit, followed by 3 here with members of the recruiting unit in our computer lab here. Engaging community partners to utilize facilities with them, and also use briefing rooms and community rooms across districts to facilitate training.
So we'll just start getting into some of the training and giving you just a brief overview of what the training means for us. The patrol carbine training, so you'll constantly hear us say C8 training, now requires, the CSP now requires that any officer in a community patrol capacity must be a carbine officer, operator. With that, that basically means approximately 400 of our members will require this training. That's not to say that we don't have members in uniform right now that have that training, but we have approximately 350 members that we would have to provide the training to. Because these C8s are high-powered, we can't operate them in our indoor flat range at the training unit. So we've worked with our community partner, a local outdoor range. And you'll see the pictures there. The top picture is our new range that we've been working on. There's stone and stuff now because the training will be going on from April to November. So rain or shine, we'll be out there. It's 4 days of initial qualification with an annual recertification, which takes 1 day. And we will need between 4 and 5 instructors on this range for safety and instruction. We've had to purchase a number of C8s. We purchased 47 and we have another 26 on order. You can imagine that every service is purchasing these firearms, so they're taking quite a while to come in from the manufacturer. Each carbine C8 requires to be armored by our trained instructors, and each C8 takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to armor. And every year, every firearm has to be armored as well. That being said, we do have to send our instructors away for training, like Sergeant Hicks had mentioned, which takes them away from our day-to-day instruction.
So immediate rapid deployment. So again, a component that is now legislated under the CSPA. So the CQB room I referred to earlier is pictured here. That's at our training unit in Welland. And basically it's active attacker training. So schools, businesses, we're trying to recreate those horrific incidents that occur in the public in training to adapt to that. So again, it's any member in a community patrol capacity, so our front line, they are required to complete a course entitled Immediate Rapid Deployment Basic. And what this is a 3-day qualification course with a qualification every 2 years. Again, the course itself covers room entry and room clearing, officer rescue, and casualty management. And we've actually started to roll out this training as part of our in-service training that commenced in February. So moving forward, this will be rolled into in-service training with requalification every 2 years. We're in the unique circumstance and fortunate one of having our own IRD facility on site that we're able to utilize. But again, it is instructor heavy for safety and the numbers of officers that we have to bring through for training. And we use anywhere from 4 to 5 instructors at a time, depending on class sizes. When we're looking potentially upwards of 500 members to be trained across in-service training with this course, while newer recruits that have attended Ontario Police College since April of 2023 have already received this. So we will requalify them when we come back around to requalify our members.
So Incident Command, or as we call it, IC, and Incident Management System, IMS training. After 2023, any new recruit that attends the Ontario Police College Basic Constable Training will have received the first level of IC IMS, level 100. So basically, IC training is administered through the Ontario Police College, and it provides our officers the knowledge and skills to handle critical incidents. So a critical incident would be an armed, barricaded person, for example. IMS training is administered through a ministry agency, Emergency Management Ontario, and it provides our officers the knowledge and skills to manage complex incidents, which involved other agencies and ministries. So basically, we're learning how to coordinate our resources, basically speak the same language, and work more effectively and efficiently. An example of this would be a mass casualty. It could be a transportation emergency. I'm not sure if you guys have been following the news, but in Ottawa, they had a parking garage collapse. So multiple agencies would be responding to that, such as EMS, fire, regional architects. The ICIMS training is also tiered. So it's according to your rank. So if you are a constable, you need 100 level. If you were a sergeant, you need 200 level, and so on and so forth. The training is quite lengthy, and we are currently working through training our own instructors to deliver this training.
Special constable training. So again, a new piece legislated in the CSPA. It's basically a standardized approach now for our special constables across the province, such that all their training is consistent and services are not varying on what's instructed. So historically, we developed an in-house special constable training program relevant to Niagara Regional Police. This now is expanded to 5 weeks of training. The Ontario Police College provided course content and lesson plans, which were ultimately made our own. Content included, not limited to, federal and provincial law, defensive tactics similar to what our sworn officers receive, and tourniquet training. This is a little less resource heavy in the sense that usually only 1 to 2 instructors are involved. However, we do need a classroom and defensive tactics room for those times where we're instructing those areas. As I mentioned, these were developed based on lesson plans from OPC, so again, there's a standardized approach there. And thank you to the assistance of our courts and prisoner management unit. We've had special constables who are subject matter experts in this area assist the training unit by helping to facilitate the instruction.
Our mental health crisis response training. This is going to provide our members a standardized approach for de-escalation and mental health crisis response. It is currently in development by Wilfrid Laurier and Toronto University. However, what we do know is there's going to be an online academic portion that will probably be about 5 hours with some quizzes. And there will also be a judgment scenario-based approach where our members will be evaluated on applying what they've learned. We currently have 2 members of the training unit that just received this training. Train the Trainer is what qualifies our members to instruct on this. And there's a lot of unknowns with this right now. It's still in development, but this will be a huge resource strain on our training unit. It will also require multiple classrooms because the delivery of the judgment could be VR, like the headsets, VRs, or actors. Officers are not allowed to be doing the acting portion. In order to deliver the training, our instructors will also have to attend this Train the Trainer course, which is approximately 33 hours. Again, out of the unit attending this training off-site.
Specialized unit training. Similar to other areas, the CSPA has mandated requirements for specialized courses and prescribed timelines for completion of that training. So historically, our specialized units have received this training. In due course, when you're transferred to a unit, there's a course outline of essential and required courses and training you are to receive. The CSBA has changed this in the sense that the timeframes to accomplish this are shortened. And given the transition and changes in the service in the last 12 months especially, We've seen a lot of people either promote through promotion or lateral transfers to newer specialty units, requiring significant more training in short order. As I alluded to earlier, this is seeing increased hotel cost, transportation and meals, where historically OPC would house members of the service. We are now looking at outside services to ensure the service is in compliance with the CSPA. And we're sending people basically wherever the training can occur. What this looks like is search warrant courses or Ontario Major Case Management courses, homicide courses, sexual assault, domestic violence. The training unit is also responsible for the scheduling and coordinating of these courses to ensure compliance with the CSPA. We've had a very in-depth and ongoing task completed by our training system clerks, so that we're constantly auditing to ensure compliance with these courses. So how that looks is OPC will release courses, or different services will release courses. We'll conduct an audit of our service members in-house and determine who needs that training, and fill it appropriately. So we're always on top of trying to make sure that we're in compliance with that. Additionally, we're planning in-house courses. Last year in 2024, we planned our first Incident Command 200 course. So that's your frontline supervisor course dealing with specialized police training in relation to incidents like armed barricaded persons or major missing persons and things like that. And we've also run incident management system courses like Staff Sergeant Casella referred to. I mentioned it again, but there is increased costs with the demands placed on OPC and outside services due to the hotel, meal, and tuition costs. And again, alternatively, demands on the training unit itself to host and facilitate these training opportunities.
So just to summarize, obviously there's significant demands on the training unit and all the training units across the province. We're primarily dealing with facility and staffing issues. Just for the outlook for 2025, we have 16 instructors. And you'll just see a little bit of a breakdown of how many instructors we need to run certain training programs. So just for our regular in-service training, we usually require 8 of our instructors. While that's going on, we also have pre and post OPC at our training facility. This Friday, we have, I believe it was 14 new recruits starting there. So facility, we've expanded with the purchase of new lockers. Last year, I think the most we had running around the training facility were about 80 members. So parking is an issue, lockers, because we carry guns and have to store that stuff. The patrol carbine training will require 4 to 5 officers off-site, and as well as special constable training, a few officers. We have 3 classrooms to host all this, and we're always looking for creative ways to deliver the training off-site, such as our community rooms. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I'll go to members, see if there's any comments or questions. Member Lawson?
Thank you, through you, Chair. That was a great presentation. Thanks so much. A couple of quick questions. One is, would you know on average what the average officer, and I understand that there's different levels, but the average officer has to do as far as training in a year? So we heard a lot about all the new training for the CSPA, including, so for example, I think there was carbine as an example. First initial is 4 days, but then it's annually 1 day per year. I'm sure that there's other training that's required. There's probably firearm training, de-escalation, regular type things, WMIS maybe. So what's the average number of hours? Would you know that?
That's a good question, through you, Chair. It varies on, we do have in-service training. That is, we now, historically we had it for 2 days per year, Now we have double IST, we have a fall, spring and a fall, which are 4 days of total training, which is mandatory. And as Sergeant Hicks had alluded to, the IRD training is delivered in those 4 days. So I guess, 8-hour days times 4 minimum, I would say, depending on where you're working, if you're in a specialized unit, obviously it could be weeks and weeks of training. If you worked in sexual assault, there's mandatory courses now that you need to be sent to, because we don't have the instructors to instruct on that. Minimum, I would say 40 to 50 hours just for a constable. For our in-service training. The carbide training now has tacked on an additional 4 days of training. So I'm not the greatest with math, but I would say minimum a few weeks of training.
Okay, thank you. So that was going to lead into my next question, is that with the training requirements that are, so if it's 2 weeks, let's just say, that kind of gives a little bit of a buffer, 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks away from their regular job, which puts pressure on the units, which could result in overtime that's required to meet minimums and things like that. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is a concern with our C8 training, because this is new. Although we've had provided C8 training to officers on the road, per se, and now it is mandatory for 400 officers. So it's uniform patrol. So now we can only run it between April and November, going through July and August when we know we're the busiest out there with answering calls for service. So in order to get through this and meet our deadlines that the ministry set, we're definitely going to be ensuring that there'll probably be a lot more overtime on the road, I would assume.
Okay, thank you.
Member Lawson, I think Chief Forty would like to
Oh,
make a
perfect, yeah,
comment.
thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think I may be able to help a little bit with that answer. It's a great question, and one of the things that we consider in our shift relief factor, and when we try to assess our need for resources, whether we have enough or need more, is we do a collation of all the hours that somebody's on training. We take sick time, we take annual leave, we take court time. So we do have the exact, I can't tell you the exact number for training right now, but we can provide you a pretty accurate assessment, because it has, as you referenced, it has a direct impact on our minimums and our ability to meet the pressures on the front line. So we had it for last budget submission. As the members have referenced, the new CSPA is evolving and changing, so we don't have an exact number on what that will be in 6 months, but we can provide what it would be today. But in our next budget submission, that will definitely be a consideration as we assess our pressures and resources.
Perfect, thank you. So through you, Chair, my next comment would be then I would like to make sure we're keeping these costs as separate as possible to indicate to council when we're going and asking for money, that they understand that this, these are new pressures from the CSPA. I know that was a lot of comments last year that we were talking about, so I just want to make sure that it is being indicated that it's not new, it's not a surprise. We knew that it was coming, and we're kind of letting everybody know now. One last quick question is, I know and I appreciate the fact that we're sending people on train the trainer courses, because that's a way to keep costs down, because then we can actually train people here. Are there any number of courses that are needed currently beyond the ones that you had mentioned that are a high priority that we should be considering?
Yeah, thank you for the question, through you, Chair. Priority right now, and we are working towards having our instructors complete the training to facilitate that, are the incident command and incident management system courses. Where members of our duty office all the way down to members on the road, we are actively working to have in-house training staff complete that. And we're accomplishing that through the ranks in a pretty timely order. I actually just received a course opportunity for the IRD training I alluded to. We're hoping to receive 2 trainers instructed in that. But the emphasis right now, I would definitely say, are courses like that related to community patrol, just due to the fact of the large number of officers that need to be facilitated through that training. And we are making the efforts to ensure that we have instructors in that. So I would say the IMS, the IC, IRD, and it's still evolving, but the MHCRT training as well.
Perfect, thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lawson. I go to Member McKendrick.
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Chair. I definitely see the strain and the challenges, so thank you for the presentation and the solutions and trying to work through that. I had similar questions to Member Lawson, but following up on the data that it sounds like it's available, Chief, in our current overtime report, the quarterly report of overtime, it sounds like maybe these costs are being represented, but potentially under meeting minimums versus specifically identifying that it's training that is needing, yes? Because I hear the data, I'm not being eloquent, sorry. I hear the data is available. I wonder about building it into the overtime quarterly reporting that is, if it's possible, specific to training that is leading to overtime of needing to meet minimums, administrative workload, those pieces, so it's not hidden, to Member Lawson's point. Just something to consider. I'm not looking for an answer right now.
No, your point is a good one. We actually had a report prepared last night with respect to the current status of our wellness initiative that completely overlaps this discussion. But what we do know is that the CSPA adds about 85 hours training per member. So how that's going to have an impact on us over the course of the year, we're not exactly sure yet, because as you referenced, sometimes minimum, sometimes not. But those are the types of things that we are trying to track, measure, and then we will obviously want to articulate to our funding partners as we move forward.
Thank you, Member McKendrick. Any other members? No questions?
Chair Gibson would like to speak.
Yes, go ahead, Member Gibson.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. The source of the C8s are from what country?
Thank you for the question. Through you, Chair, there is a sole source supplier within Canada. So that is through Rampart Corporation. And to the best of my knowledge, and I can get back to you on this, I believe some are manufactured in Canada and in the States as well, United States.
Okay, thank you. I just was making the point in regards to the dollar increase cost that may come along on the cost of these that we have to, buy so many of them. So just something to think about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Gibson, for your question. I see no other questions. So I thank you for your presentation. Again, very informative. As we move forward, I'm sure we'll hear from you again. Right, thank you. So I do need a mover and seconder. Moved by Member McKendrick, seconded by Member Gibson, that the presentation be received. Any other discussion? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
Thank you, Member Gibson.
In favor.
Thank you. That carries. We now go to the consent items. So in block, I'd like to move items 8.1 to 8.21. Moved by Member Yip and seconded by Member Kappa-Savanu, that the information be received. Is there any discussion in regards to any of the items? No? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Gibson in favor.
Thank you.
In favor.
Thank you. That carries unanimous. Now we'll go to new business, 9.1. Moved by Member Lawson, seconded by Member McKendrick, that the subject to the approval by the Regional Council of the Consolidated Regional Year End Transfer Report, the Niagara Police Service Board approved the following transfers. Number one, $38,801 from the Ontario Police Video Training Alliance Reserve Fund mitigating the deficit in the current year operations in accordance with the Niagara Region Reserve and Reserve Fund Policy, C-F-013. And number two, that $501,663.58 from the Policy Contingency Reserve Fund to fund one-time 2024 expenditures related to the implementation of the Community Safety and Policing Act, 2019. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
Thank you. Okay, and
In
that carries.
favor.
Thank you, that carries unanimously. Go to 9.2, moved by Member Gibson, second by Member Yip, that the Niagara Police Service Board approve the wireless services corporate customer agreement with TELUS at an annual cost will be $399,000 plus HST as attached to the report, and authorize the Chief of Police to execute the agreement on behalf of the board. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question then. All those in favor?
In favor.
Aye.
Thank you, that's approved, unanimous. Go 9.3, annual report, missing persons, that the, moved by Member Capisvanu, second by Member Lawson, that the report be provided to the Ministry of the Solicitor General and be posted on the Niagara Regional Police Service website pursuant to Section 8, subsection 2 of the Missing Persons Act in 2018. Any discussion? I'm seeing none. I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
In favor.
Oh,
In
sorry.
favor.
All right, carries unanimously. Thank you. 9.4, quarterly report, moved by Member McKendrick, second by Member Gibson, that the Niagara Police Service Board waive Section 8.1 of Board Bylaw 403-2024, administration, limitations, and guidelines to the special fund, and approve a transfer in the amount of $77,920.90 to the Niagara Regional Police Foundation. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Thank you, that carries unanimous. We go to items 9.5, special fund requests. Before we consider the special fund requests listed under items 9.5, 1 to 8, I would like to remind members of the public that the special fund does not form part of the police operating budget and is separate from the regional tax base. The special fund is a discretionary pool of funds which is used for grants and charitable donations. Disbursements from the fund are made in accordance with the guidelines provided in the Community Safety and Policing Act and with Board Bylaw 403-2024, Special Fund Administration, Limitation, and Guidelines. So number 9.5, there are 8 special fund requests. I will read them over and then ask for a mover and a seconder. Number 1 is Ontario Association of Policing Boards Spring Conference and Annual General Meeting, $1,000. Number 2 is Socks for Change Program, that's $1,500. Number 3 is the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce Women in Niagara International Women's Day event is $903.89. Number 4 is Communications Unit / Telecommunicator Week, it's $2,000. Number 5 is Niagara Regional Police Service Men's Jimmy Williams Hockey Team is $1,500. Number 6 is Niagara Regional Police Women's in Police ISN Lunch and Learn Initiatives is $3,000. Number 7 is Niagara Regional Police Services Film Fest, $5,000. And number 8 is United Way Campaign Celebration Breakfast, $400. So moved by Member Lawson, second by Member McKendrick, that's subject to the, sorry. moved by member Yip and second by member Lawson, that the board authorize a special fund donations and approve payment as outlined in the reports. Are any discussions? Seeing none? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
In favor.
In favor.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. Number 10, do any board members have any other business? Members Gibson, members Capus-Vanu? I don't see any, so.
No, I'm fine.
Great, thank you. Does the chief?
No, thank you, Chair.
All right, number 11's, there are no in-camera reports. Motion to close session, moved by member Capus-Vanu, second by member McKendrick, that the board move into closed session for consideration of confidential matters pursuant to section 44 of the Community Safety and Policing Act, namely for subject matter related to potential litigation, human resources matters, information supplied in confidence by the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and from vendors for contract awards, as well as legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. We'll take a 5-minute break.